Just
Parenting
like
101.
get
We
the
are live.
whites.
Here we are. We got it, Ricky. The doctor
Okay.
is in. Happy Wellness Woosah Wednesday. That's what we call it. It's Woosah Wednesday. Happy Woosah.
We need a woosah today, Mo. We need a woosah today.
We got a good one last night, though. I have to say, it's not justice, but accountability. So
Right?
I want to explore today. We got a great topic for everybody today. Welcome to The Doctor Is In, and we are talking today about how your peace is non-negotiable. And this is one of Ricky's favorite sayings. I'm gonna call it a Rickyism on how your peace is non-negotiable, not just when you don't have breast cancer, but especially if you do have breast cancer.
Right.
And we have some amazing guests here today, and we're going to get into it and talk about how we negotiate our peace and how we can renegotiate that contract, because I think it's time for some renegotiations, don't you?
Every day we have to renegotiate our peace. You know what I mean? If you think about everything we do every day requires us to, okay, step back, take a pause. There's so much stress in our lives between work and kids, and with this COVID thing and being in the same house with the same people for months, now going on years. We really have to just step back and take time for ourselves. And it's really hard to take that purple cape off, Mo. It's really hard. We can take the tiara off, we can take the shoes off, but the cape just like sticks to our back, right? Because what are you going to do next? What are you going to not do? Feed the kid, not feed the kid, not go to work, not do the steps. So you have to rip that cape off and like take it off and throw it across the room. But it's really, really hard, really, really hard.
It is, because life keeps moving. Even with a cancer diagnosis, things just don't stop, even with the coronavirus. And one of the great things about this show is that we've been able to highlight over the last year, every single Wednesday, these amazing stories of strength during a pandemic that no one has ever seen before. And so we're going to talk some more today, and we got some old breasties, some new breasties, some fab friends, and we would love for them to introduce themselves. Robin Evans, would you start and tell us a little bit about yourself, your cancer journey, and just welcome to the show.
Yeah, so glad
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Well, my name is Robin Evans. I'm currently a cancer research advocate. I was diagnosed with stage 4 triple negative breast cancer that had metastasized to my liver in 2008. The interesting thing about that and how that relates to stress is that my treatment plan was to go home and get my affairs in order. And so to hear that and not be given any hope as a cancer survivor. And I remember thinking, first I fed into, oh, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. But then I thought about it and I said, we're all gonna die. And it's not important how I die, because I could die of a heart attack or get hit by a car or breast cancer. Um, how I die is more important how I'm living. And so instead of going home and preparing to die, I went home and started living fully. And for the remainder time, however long God has allotted and blessed me with, I was determined that I would help other women. I would help other women see hope in their journey, because our journeys are for a reason, and they're meant to develop something within you that is bigger than yourself. And that's what I found through my journey. But I also learned in retrospect that I had had several great losses leading up to my breast cancer. And so for a couple of years prior to being diagnosed, I had been extremely stressed out about a whole lot of stuff. And so one of the things about stress is that it reduces your immune system, and that's especially important today with the viruses and COVID. And it increases your risk of infections. It can upset your digestive system, your mental status. It speeds up the aging process, and it also causes depression and anxiety, all the things that at one time or another I have had. So I went through years of treatment, but I'm still being followed by a doctor. I will be followed for the rest of my life, but thank you so much for having these kind of shows, because this is the type of support women need in order to know that there is hope in survival, and there's a reason in your diagnosis, and that it's incumbent on all of us, and especially African American women, to take our younger uh, sisters and help them find the way and know the way. And I'm sure, just like the other ladies, I did not know about the history of cancer in my family until I was actually diagnosed, which put me at a disadvantage. So, but I hope to talk more about some ways that we can address stress in our life. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Robin. So great to hear it. Can I ask you one question? So how'd you survive breast cancer? I mean, you were metastatic, triple negative. Like, just God worked out, intervened.
Absolutely. And first of all, I won't say that it was an easy journey, because I had three second opinion, then I had a third opinion. And I was determined to find someone who I was able to work with, and someone who had a hopeful treatment plan. You
Right.
know, don't go to a doctor that's saying, well, we'll do the best we can. That's not the doctor for me. I don't need you not to have hope and promise in what you are giving to me. So I continued to search for doctors until I found a doctor that not only had a positive and hopeful treatment plan, but also I connected with as a person. I felt that she felt who I was as a person, and then we were going to work together, because nobody can treat you if you're not an active participant in your own treatment.
Right?
You cannot just leave it up to them. What should I do? No, you need to. Well, I saw this, and should I do this? You have to be an active participant in your own therapy,
Right, like,
in your own treatment. And then, as my beautiful sisters will tell you today, that you have to do things to address the stress in your life. And not just because you had breast cancer, before you had breast cancer, during breast cancer, and after breast cancer.
go girl.
And we have to set it up in a way that our younger sisters are taking note. I always say that just like a teenager can find a pimple on the side of their head, but know nothing about their breasts, nothing. They need to be taught at a very early age. These are your breasts.
Check them.
And check them. And people say, well, how young?
Oh,
Before they get there.
right.
How about that?
Puberty.
Before
Puberty.
they get there, you're going to be getting these things called breasts, and
Right.
we check them, and this is how we do it.
Right.
So we just have to starting these conversations a lot earlier than we are, and then practicing our mindfulness, and practicing good nutrition, and practicing some of the things that are going to reduce the stress in our life.
Yeah. All right.
Wow.
All right. Well, Nicole.
I'm sitting here, Ricky, like mic drop on Robin here.
Don't do that to me, Nicole. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Well, good
because
evening,
I'm coming to your
everybody.
retreat. Everybody, I just want to let you know that I am going to see Nicole, who is an amazing health and wellness coach.
Yes, she is.
So if you have no idea of what health and wellness and how to reduce stress in your life, get the contact information and see my girl, Nicole, and she will hook you right up.
Is a powerhouse. Yes.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Robin. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Nicole D. Surrett, and I am the Chief Inspiration Officer of Inspired. I am an inspirational speaker, author, health coach, and health advocate, promoting health and wellness as a lifestyle with an emphasis on stress management, self-care strategies, and lifestyle changes. My why is that I'm a breast cancer thriver. I'm getting ready to celebrate my 10th cancerversary in June. And I don't want women to wait until they get a diagnosis of any type for that to be the
Right.
wake-up call
Right.
to start paying attention to their health and wellness practices. Just a little bit about my story. Again, it started almost 10 years ago, June of 2011, and the diagnosis was very much a surprise based on how I had been taking care of myself since high school. So I was very textbook-like. All of the things that were recommended that you do to avoid getting sick, I was doing. Yet I not only got a diagnosis, I got an advanced stage diagnosis at that. Initially, they thought that I was maybe a stage 0 or stage 1. And after that first surgery, I could tell from, he was my boyfriend at the time, he's now my husband. But when I came out from under anesthesia, I could tell by his face that something wasn't right. And he said to me that the cancer spread beyond what the test results revealed. And I went from stage 0, maybe a stage 1, all the way to a stage 3C. So now I've gotten an aggressive cancer, which would require aggressive treatment. And so I've had chemotherapy, radiation, a number of lumpectomies, and lots of delays. Had major issues with my white blood cell count being too low for treatment. And I will say that I knew that there was purpose in my diagnosis the day that I got that diagnosis.
Yes.
It took me a minute to figure out what that purpose was, but I figured it out. And I did not ask God why. Instead, I asked him, what was I to learn from this experience? And I did shed a lot of tears that day. And then at some point, God got my attention and he reminded me that all of the years that I was on Divorce Drive and Separated Street, he provided everything that my children needed and everything that I needed. And I thought, oh yeah, that's right. He did all of that and some. He can handle this cancer diagnosis. So I knew that I was on this journey for a reason. And it's to, help people who don't have a diagnosis, help them keep it that way. And for my bosom buddies, as I lovingly call you all, to help you reduce your risk of recurrence. And as even though I was doing those textbook things right, I had to stop and think of, well, how did I even land here? And I was dealing with what I call 3D. So I had the diagnosis, I was divorced, and I was dealing with my mother, who I was her caregiver. She was suffering from Alzheimer's. So now I'm her caregiver. Now there's some other people that got some other Ds. They got debt, they've got depression and things of that nature. But as I sat back in retrospect and looked at it, I thought I was handling my stress, but in essence, I was really busy. And so it's like, okay, so I know that my job was stressful. And I came to a point where I realized I can't fight cancer and fight these people on the job. I came out of the job, completed all my treatments, looked for a job and couldn't find one. And then I realized, okay, God, I need to be on this platform promoting health and wellness as a lifestyle. And my background is in education. And so I'm not only concerned about current generations and our levels of stress, but I'm concerned about future generations, because if we as adults don't know how to manage our stress, we can't transfer those stress management techniques to our children and our grandchildren. And what I foresee, unfortunately, is another generation of children where you step on their foot, they take out a gun, and they take you out because they don't know what else to do. And so, I think one of the mistakes that we make, especially as women, is that we see our lives in isolation. We don't see the interconnectedness between the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, occupational, relational, and they're all interconnected. And when one is out of sync, there's a potential that they all get knocked out and have a domino effect. So we've got to really address this stress, as again, not only for ourselves, but future generations. We've got to be monitoring what we're eating, not eating, drinking, not drinking, whether we're exercising or not, because things are just out of control. I mean, stress is a global epidemic. And so we've got to be the change agents. We've got to be the change that we want to see moving forward.
Amen. Drop the mic.
Now that's a mic drop right there. There it is.
Amen.
Wow.
Wow.
We're gonna get into some conversation, but first we have to introduce our repeat guest, our bestie, our guru, our advisor on things, meditation and calm and balance and peace, who gave us some really great exercises last time. Let me tell you, I slept so good that night.
I know. I use them.
Ananda Lee.
Hi, everybody. It is an honor and a pleasure and a joy to be back with Ricky, Dr. Mo, Nicole, and Robin, and this wonderful Black doctors community, and this community of women and others that are living with and supporting folks with breast cancer. I am Ananda Leek, and I am the granddaughter of two women that lived with breast cancer, Frederica Stanley Roberts Leek and Dorothy Mae Garton Johnson. And as their granddaughter, I serve the world with my gifts through Ananda Leek Consulting, a wellness company that specializes in helping people just like you and companies and organizations and communities to outsmart stress, to become resilient, and to thrive mindfully with joy. I base this practice that I share with others on what I have learned in my life. And I came to mindfulness, self-care, and wellness through my own struggles as a law student at Howard University School of Law and Georgetown University Law Center, and as a young legal professional and investment banker who was growing up in the moving and shaking 80s and early 90s, doing deals, just answering the call that I thought was on my life. You hear me say that I thought was on my life. And at that time, I was all about achievement and not looking at what my choices were doing to my stress levels. And I had no idea that I had developed a high tolerance for stress. And it wasn't until the universe gives us all opportunities, and it gave me an opportunity to sit my behind down when I was released from a position. And it was then that I saw the very beginnings of all that stress, but I still did not pay attention to the degree where I could really cement a lifestyle, create a lifestyle that Nicole talked about and that Robin talked about it. It took me a couple of years of falling and getting up and falling and getting up and being released from positions. I learned my lessons from being released from jobs and having time, like desert time, that 40 days and 40 nights in the desert. I had 18 months a couple of times. And it was through that time that I was invited to go to therapy through my parents. It was an intervention. And I accepted the call, and I learned that I needed to make some career changes based on how I intended to live. Because by that time, I was practicing yoga, I was practicing meditation, but it wasn't on a regular basis. It was kind of like when a crisis happened, I would do yoga or meditate. And my therapist at the time, a phenomenal African American woman, Carolyn Francis, she said to me, either you meditate or you medicate. And I want to say, first of all, that I believe that you should do whatever works best for you. For me, it was that call on meditation and her lighting fire underneath my feet to take it seriously. And it was through that practice that I developed a yoga practice. And I saw how much these practices worked for me that I ended up studying to become a certified yoga teacher, meditation teacher, a Reiki practitioner, a sound healer, and now a digital wellness educator, helping people deal with the stress of living. And now that we're in COVID-19, being online and how can we work better in all aspects of our lives and show up. And in particular, I have a deep desire to want to support women that look just like me, African American women and other women of color. And so now I'd like to get us into a nice state of just groundedness. And I want to just take a moment for us to, if you feel comfortable closing the eyes, go ahead and close the eyes. If you want to keep your eyes open, just lowering your gaze slightly. You do what works best for you. We're just going to take a mindful moment where we check in with our bodies. Our bodies are in the present moment. We're going to use the breath to do so. So just noticing how the feet feel, whether they're resting on the floor or if you're sitting in a nice cozy yoga style and the feet are pressed together or near each other. Just noticing the feet. Not doing anything about it, but just noticing. And then inviting you to bring one hand to the heart and one hand to the belly. Noticing the heartbeat. Shifting your attention to how the belly feels, not judging, just shifting the attention, not saying I need to let go of this or not let go of that. Just noticing. And then turning your attention to the breath, this breath of life. It's our greatest asset. Without it, we are not alive. The breath is with us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. But how often do we notice? How often do we slow down and notice the breath? So paying attention to how the breath feels as it enters and exits the body, filling up in the belly, the chest, moving through the throat, the mouth, and the nose. And then taking one big breath in through the nose, holding that breath, and then releasing it through the mouth with a nice sigh. Releasing the hands, just sitting for a moment, or standing or laying still, whatever posture you're in. Appreciating yourself. And then taking a moment to give yourself a nice, gentle self-hug. Every time we hug ourselves for 20 seconds or more, we're activating what I call our superpowers, the hormones of oxytocin, the love hormone, the serotonin hormone, the feel-good happiness hormone. And when we hold ourselves and hug ourselves for 20 seconds or more, these superpower hormones get right at that stress hormone of cortisol. You may even want to rock back and forth. Sometimes it feels good to rock. So we've got our breath, we've got this power of self-hug. These are two easy, free, and always available self-care practices that you can use to be present to yourself and to release the stress in your spirit, your heart, your mind, your body, and your life. And one of the things that I want to invite you to do once you finish, you might want to stay in this place. It's so juicy. I stay in it in the morning when I wake up. I breathe 3 times, and I hug myself. And it often leads me to go back to sleep. It feels good though. It feels good. So one of the things I've been doing with folks, even before we entered into COVID-19, is sharing this short tool that I created called the de-stress tool. And I love acronyms. And so as the founder and chief mindfulness officer of Ananda Consulting and the Thriving Mindfully Community and Academy, we use the de-stress tool, and it starts with the S in stress. It's stop. Stop when you notice that you're stressed out. The T is take a moment to breathe deeply. Why? Because the breath is always there. It's a free tool, people. We don't always realize it. The R is reflect. Reflect on what's happening in your body. The body is always in the present moment. And Nicole and Robin, Dr. Mo, and Ricky can testify, I'm sure. You can figure out where your stress is if you slow down, because it shows up in the body, baby. It shows up in the body. So after you reflect, the E is energize yourself with deep breathing and or mindful movement to release the stress. Whatever it takes, whatever you can do wherever you are, don't push yourself. Then the S is set an intention to practice mindful self-care. Guess what, y'all? We have 1,440 minutes each and every day. And a coach blew my mind several years ago when she said, Ananda, stop saying you're so busy, because that was one of my favorite lines. You got time. 1 minute, baby, out of the 140 minutes. You can breathe. I don't know how many times you can breathe in a minute, but you can definitely breathe 3 times and hug yourself. So set an intention to practice mindful self-care. S, this is really important. Start where you are with small steps that allow you to practice mindful self-care. I'm going to say that again. Start where you are with small steps, y'all. That's just one. Just being here tonight. If you're a recovering box checker like myself, check the box. You've done it. If you sat here just for a few moments with us, you've done it, baby. It's done. So you're good to go. Start where you are. Don't try to have a 7-day yoga practice. Don't try. And if you do, be careful, because next week you may say, hasta luego, baby. You never know. So I am really excited to be here. I will be offering a free membership to the Thriving Mindfully's new academies community that launches on Monday. To everybody that's here, we'll put it in the chat later. And I'll make sure that I give it to Ricky and Dr. Mo and Nicole and Robin so that they can pass that on.
That's
And
so
it
awesome.
really is an opportunity for us to all, and I say all because I include myself, to take our lives in our care seriously. So the mic is passed.
Wow. How did you know that we, or by we, I mean me, was judging myself when you said, put your hand on your belly, right? And as soon as you did, I said, oh, I started picking myself apart in my head. And how often does that self-judgment come into play, especially as a breastie, right? Like let's talk about that, because some of the things you used to do, you don't do the same anymore. Some of the ways you used to look, you may not look and feel. Your energy level changes. But talk to me about self-judgment and that experience.
Oh,
Anybody?
well, what I would say about that too, and then we can go back to Anand, is being critical of yourself is also stressful. When you don't like yourself or don't like pieces of yourself, you are adding additional stress to your life. And how can you deal with something or fix something that you don't like in the first place?
Mm.
Ananda?
Thank you, Robin. Robin is serving it up, y'all. I'm sitting here going, yeah. When is your show starting? I wanna be on that show and I
Right,
wanna
right.
listen.
We all do.
Yeah. So, it's really interesting the way that we as Black women, and we can talk about that. We as women of African descent, and how we show up in the world, how we are treated, um, and the expectations that are put upon us by our family, by ourselves, by our community. So there's so much that we're carrying, and it it doesn't leave a lot of room for compassion and kindness and empathy and self-worth and self-value, and self-love. And one of the things that I'm 56 and I struggle with my belly. That's why I said that, Dr. Mo, because I'm like holding a rose quartz crystal right by my belly so that I don't get caught up in my own stuff. That I stay grounded.
Love it. Wow.
To bring me back, to remind me, that whatever is happening in the body, we have that body, and it came from, if you believe in a creator, it came from the creator. And if you believe that you came from a creator or a higher power, then that creator didn't make junk. It's like my mom Teresa says, God didn't make garbage. And so a lot of that is really coming into a place of identifying where these thoughts are coming from. It's first identifying them, because I know I like to glaze over stuff like a Krispy Kreme donut. And I will put on some lip gloss and put on my fabulous glasses and my Stan Smith and vegan leather pants and skip the heck on up out of here and pretend like I'm not judging myself. I'll cover it up, you know? And how many of us do that? I can raise my hand.
Yeah. Well, Alonda, one of the things that you guys, I didn't recognize that I had stress.
Mm-hmm.
I thought stress was a cop out.
Mm.
My sister would call me and say, I'm so stressed. I'm like, shut up. What are you going to do? Not feed the kid today? Not go to work?
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't even admit that stress existed. I thought it was for wimps. Like, what am I going to, what? Like, how do you do stress? What a concept.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to learn that I was stressing myself out. And I got it really from my nurse navigator. When I first got sick, she's like, you are so stressed out. I said, well, how do I know? And I told her this all the time. How do I know I'm stressed out? How do I know? And she said, well, how many times a day do you think or say the word asshole? And I didn't really say it out loud, but in my head, that's what I called a lot of people in my life, usually with an adjective that begins with F, okay? And so I
Keeping
thought
it real here on the doctor's
all day long,
Yeah.
all day long, all day long. And so I had to realize that those were cancers in my life. And so I was working on getting the cancer out of my body, but I had to get rid of the cancers in my life.
Mm.
And I had to figure out who those people were and like, see if I gotta go. I had to put some chemo on them. But it took me a minute to realize I was creating dependencies on myself.
Mm.
That all these people that I was like, okay, I'll do it. I got it. I'll take care of it. I got you. I'll do this for you. I was creating that. I was making them dependent on me. I was facilitating. I was enabling them. And I had to realize that I was causing my own problem.
So Nicole, let me ask
Ricky,
you this.
you
Go
know,
ahead,
that made me think of something that is really profound. So as a nurturer, we take care of everybody.
Everybody.
You know what I mean? We take care of everybody who got a need, bring them to me. I got you covered, right? But as a nurturer, we also have needs. So we have spiritual needs, social needs, financial needs, we have this list of needs. And what I like to ask people to do is make that list of your needs and go one by one from 1 to 10. Is that need being satisfied?
Mm.
Okay, so let's take a spiritual need. So we could do our own spiritual need by praying. Sometimes other people help us with our spiritual need because we go into fellowship or a church or we do meditation. Some people can help us with our needs and we can help each other with our needs. However, this is the point. When the nurturer is not ensuring that their needs are being addressed, they will turn into the victim. And the victim eventually will become the bully.
Mm.
If you ever notice, and let's take parenting, I teach a parenting class. When do you snap at your kids? When you are stressed out.
Right.
That's bullying behavior. And why are you being a bully? Because your needs are not being met. And then you blame, you make me sick. Nobody can make you sick. You know, you make yourself sick because you're trying to control somebody else's behavior. You have to take responsibility for your own stuff. So that changed my life when I looked at it like that, you know, because one day I came in and I was like stressed out, and my husband said, you know, what do you want for dinner? And I went off. And I had to think about it. I'm like, he was trying to do something nice.
And you
It
lost it.
wasn't about him. It was about, I had had a hard day. And I had to apologize and say, listen, I'm sorry. Let me get a nap first. I've been on the computer all day. I'm tired. I'm irritable. Let me de-stress.
Right.
And then we'll discuss dinner. You know, but that's allowing you to take responsibility for the stresses in your life. And when I started seeing it from the perspective of when I'm stressed out, I become a bully or a victim. It's everybody else's fault. Or all victims, eventually, when you get tired of being the victim for everybody, you will turn into the bully that you hate.
Oh, boy.
Okay, I just wanted to make that point. Thank you.
Nicole, what do you say to the people who, the women who define themselves and define their success and their self-worth by their level of involvement, their entanglements? They're on the board, they're on the Women's Auxiliary, their pastor's anniversary committee, they're teaching, they're mentoring, they're picking up the kid. Like it's baked into to the core of who they are and to their value. Like what they do is tied to their value. How do you disentangle that?
Two things immediately come to mind, Dr. Mo. One, because I heard Ricky allude to it, as did Ananda. You know, I believe that we are modern day superwomen dealing with the modern day kryptonite called stress. And I've actually created a group called Superwoman University, and it's not about being superwoman, because trying to be superwoman is stressful in and of itself. I've created the group because I want women to embrace what's super in every woman. And what we're doing, we're so busy, as has been shared, taking care of everybody and everything else, that we put ourselves on the back burner. Scratch that. We're not on the back burner. We're not on the stove. We're not in the kitchen. We're somewhere out in the garage because it's everybody else first. And you know, you've heard it said before, you can't give out of an empty cup. So we've got to think about self-care differently. We can't think about it as me first or me only. We need to think about it as me too. Because the truth of the matter is, when you take care of yourself, everybody else benefits. And you know, sometimes you just need to kind of go away by yourself because you're stressing everybody else out. And it's hard for us, you know, we are created to be relational by design, and we don't want to say no. You know, we want to please everybody, and we're doing everything again for everybody else's project, and there's no time for ourselves. And so we've got to be in a position where we create healthy boundaries. And we have to understand no is not a bad word. No is a complete sentence in and of itself. And the truth of the matter is, some of the things that stress us out and some of the people that stress us out are our family. And so I tell the women with whom I work, I'm not telling you to stop loving them. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm suggesting is that instead you love them from a distance, because we are giving out the precious space, our mental real estate, to people. We have a positive outlook and we've got toxic people in our lives. And so we've got to kind of keep them at bay. I don't think we should just kind of wash our hands of them, because I think we need to have those Harriet Tubman moments where we are strengthening ourselves so that we can go back and strengthen our sister. And I talk to the women and I say, it's not just about self-care, it's about squad care, where we are holding each other accountable. And I think that's important. And I think when you realize that you're not alone, especially when you're going through a diagnosis, I think isolation is just an enemy. It's a trick of the devil. You know, if you think about a child predator, you know, when 20 kids get off the school bus and 19 go one way and one goes the opposite direction, that predator is going to go to the one who's by itself. So we have to know that you are not alone, that whatever your challenges are, whether they're physical, mental, emotional, whatever they are, you are not in it alone. Because, you know, we can do a good job dressing it up, covering it up, and that's not helpful. That's not helpful. We need to be in safe environments. And I know Ananda said something about it, about the journeys that we're on. You know, I think as women, we can get so caught up just wanting to see the whole spiral staircase. But the journey starts with each step. It's one step after another step. And then we look behind us and see, oh my goodness, I've traveled a couple of miles. But we'll never do anything if we're just standing at the top of the staircase. So we've really got to do something about getting a handle on our stress. And you got to know what stress is, and how it shows up in you, because how stress affects me is not how it's going to affect Ricky. How it affects me today is not necessarily how I'm going to respond to it in 3 months. So we need to come together as a sisterhood and give each other space and grace.
Wow.
Wow.
How do you tell your sister, hey, listen, I think you might need to see a therapist? Because I know there's a lot of people watching who have family members, spouses, others, and they're recognizing the signs and symptoms of stress, but those individuals may not be, and they might benefit from a therapist. How do you do that without alienating somebody? What does that conversation sound like?
One of the
I
things
think as we talk about stress management and self-care, a therapist needs to be on there. You know, we often talk about meditation and yoga and exercise, but having a therapist needs to be one of those options. And I know that especially in communities of color, because actually my degree is in psychology, you know, we're hesitant to go see a psychologist because we're so concerned about our business getting out on the street. But, you know, I think when we think that asking for help is a sign of weakness, that's a problem. Asking for help is actually a sign of strength. We all need help from time to time. And, you know, if you listen to other people who we think have it made, they'll tell you, I go to a therapist on a regular basis. So it's not like you have to, you know, be a billionaire to be in a position to need a therapist. You know, it's just that sometimes you need to be listened to. You need to be heard. You need to bounce some things off of somebody else. Sometimes you need to be in a situation where you're talking so that you hear yourself, because you have the answers and you just need somebody to kind of guide you. And so that's what I do as a health coach, is not to give people solutions, but to help, to give them that space to see, you know, you know what you need to do. Sometimes you just need somebody to hold you accountable. And having a therapist is a great thing. And we need not be afraid of that. We need not be afraid of that.
Ananda, you were going to say something about helping our sisters recognize that they need a therapist.
Yeah, and I co-sign with what Nicole said. And what I have done during this COVID experience is sign myself back up into therapy. And it is because my cousin, big shout out to my cousin Gail, I've been going through a number of different experiences, and she and my one of my best friends, Garnet, they both said to me within the same week, I think you need to talk to somebody, and not just us. Like, you need to talk to somebody that can really get to where this is coming from, because being in COVID-19 has just amplified all your stuff, and it's just flying all over the place. And I'm concerned, you know, to be able to have people around you that can say that to you is one thing. Listening and really taking action is another. And what I've been able to do with some close sister friends is to say, hey, if you're not ready to talk to someone, would you be willing to participate in a workshop? You know, would you be willing to participate in a class? Would you be willing to watch a video? You know, because sometimes you got to look at different ways that people can you can get to folks. Would you be willing to read an article? Would you be willing to listen to a podcast? I mean, there's so many. Would you, let's break it down. Would you look at this Instagram post with the quote about self-care? Would you be willing to join me on a walk that Girl Trek has sponsored? They had a self-care. They do them all the time.
Love Girl Check.
There's so many different types of things that are available now to help move people along. Because I really think that just saying you need to talk to a therapist and the person saying no, you got to have some other options for various reasons, because people have different barriers to it. And I want to honor wherever they are.
Absolutely, yes.
Really, wherever they are. Like, you can tell me, there are people close to me that can say, yo, chick, you got to check yourself in. And I'm like, bet. if you saying it, you see something that I'm missing. And so I'm trusting that I'm going to go explore this. It can't hurt. Like, 1 to 3 sessions can't hurt. Like, I could make a decision. Sometimes you go to a coach and sometimes you go to a therapist. Hey, it depends on where you are, and it's a spectrum.
I would, you know what I would add to that? When people are chronically stressed, and with that stress comes depression and anxiety and all of this other stuff, they're telling themselves a story. And I worked in behavioral health like all of my career before I retired, some form of it, and health education. And what I found that was helpful for people is helping people tell their story, retell their story in a different way. No, I'm not a bad mother because I forgot to pick them up or I was late for school. We have all of these narratives that add to our stress. You know, oh my God, I'm a horrible mother. I didn't clean the kitchen last night, or whatever the thing it is for you. And what I would have to do is help people reframe these stories that they tell about themselves, because a lot of times those stories are inherently negative. And people will take their story, and it could be 80% of the story is good. They want to spend 2 hours telling you about the 20% that is horrible. You know, and after they finish telling it, you would never know they had so many other amazing things going on in their life. So as we talk about stress, some of the things that may be helpful is, and especially for us super women, doing a journal and documenting success. We forget about our success. We can tell you every negative thing that we've done in the last week, but we can't tell you what our successes are. And if we last year wrote down one success a day, we'd have 365 successes that we could draw on in the times when we are having these stressful feelings. Yo, I'm horrible, I'm horrible. Wait a minute. That book over there that you done wrote all those successes down saying something different. We have to remind ourselves. And playing with the mind is like playing this game. You know, we gotta say, when they're saying you're a horrible person, you need to be stressed out. Oh no, sweetheart. No, I'm not. Look at all of the things that I did do right. Look at all the things that I am working on. Just because one thing fell apart doesn't mean that you are a total mess up and a failure to the world. So my couple of suggestions around stress: if you find yourself in a totally stressful situation, shake it up. You got to do something immediately. The minute you find out, like when I start hollering at people, oh, I'm stressed out, go for a walk. You know, turn some music on and dance like nobody is watching. You know, do something that immediately changes the energy, because stress can't live. Stress needs a convenient, solid, peaceful energy to exist. Shake up that energy. Another thing that I like to do is humor. Humor will take the stress out of a situation. I remember when I lost all my hair during chemo, and I was sitting, and it's not that you lose your hair. I was prepared to lose my hair. I wasn't prepared to lose my eyebrows, my eyelashes, and everything else.
Your pubic
And
hair.
one day I looked in the mirror and I looked like an alien. I did not recognize myself. And for a minute, I started to feed into it. And this is a funny story that you'll appreciate. So now I'm mad at the world because I ain't got no hair. So I take a big pencil, marker pencil, and I draw two humps for eyebrows, two giant black humps over my head, because I wanted to show my husband just how disgusted I was. And I sat on that bed and I waited for him to come home. And when he walked in, he said, ah! And I sat there and I said, yes. What? What? Because I needed him to confirm. Oh my God, you look horrible. So I was like, what? He was like, I forgot something at the store. And he ran out of the house. He went to the beauty supply house and he saw the woman there and he showed her a picture of me. He said, can you teach me how to draw eyebrows? Because my wife has these two giant humps on her face, you know, and the lady taught him how to do eyebrows, and he bought everything that she used, and he came in and said, now we're going to draw some eyebrows, you know, rather than him feeding my stress. And so then I was
Who's
like,
chopping onions, Robin? Who is chopping onions? Because this is a tearjerker over
wait
here.
a minute. But then, okay, now I got eyebrows and I stuck some eyelashes on, but I had to reframe the narrative, you know, because as a breast cancer survivor, you don't feel sexy. You may have lost the breast, I did. You may have lost them both. You don't have no hair. You don't feel attractive no more. So you have to reframe it. So here I am, bald-headed. I'm waiting for my husband to get home. I put on some lipstick. I put on my lashes. I got my new eyebrows on. I put some heels on. And I said, I'm Zira from another planet. We are here to see what you are like. So And I say that to say that while we are talking about our stress, the people who love us are also stressed. The
Yeah.
people who love us are also worried, are we going to live and die? Uh, is she throwing up again today? Is her stomach hurting? They are stressed. And so, in addition to us paying attention to our stress, we have to also pay attention to their stress and their needs and suggest for them, you need to meditate, or maybe you know need to go get a massage, or let me treat you to a manicure, pedicure, or whatever it is to give them that distraction too. Because it's not always just about us. It's a lot of people around us that care about us. And when we're stressed, they're stressed too. Thank you.
I wanted to add to Robin's fabulous mic dropping story and the journal and in recording your wins and your
Love that.
achievements, your
Love that so
joys.
much.
Every Friday is Fun Day Friday in the Thriving Mindfully community. And Fun Day Friday is an opportunity to kick off the weekend with something fun, something playful, wearing lipstick, putting on some eyebrows, whatever it is, putting on your favorite music, dancing, whatever, drinking your favorite beverage. Then we move into Saturday, which is Savor Your Life Saturday. And that's when you take a pause for the cause for a couple of minutes and you reflect on what were your small, medium, and big wins for the week. What were the small, medium, and big wins? Sometimes the big win is I got up and I showered and I got myself some breakfast and I moved through my day. Maybe it's wearing your yellow socks. I don't know. But it's your small, medium, and big wins. And then what I offer to my clients and to myself is a personal practice. Every 18th of each month, I celebrate my birthday. I was born December 18th. But that calendar mark gives me an opportunity. If I haven't celebrated anything, you can best believe I'm going to take a little time to honor my journey, what I've come through, small, medium, and big. And then quarterly, looking at when the seasons change. Hey, let's just take some time to reflect. Wow, where did we go from? Where are we going? You only know where you're going if you look back. And you got to celebrate. The more that we celebrate and we give thanks, our hearts are open wider. That heart space gives you that grounding place where you can energize yourself and you can shake it up like Robin was talking about. You can tap into some loving kindness and some compassion. But that celebration, it's everything.
Well, you know what? And
Everything.
that's an interesting point that you made, because one of the things on my list around stress is doing random acts of kindness. You will be surprised
Mhm.
how reaching out and doing something for someone
Okay.
else
Mhm.
changes the energy in your own head. It makes you forget that you was even stressed out. I remember because I had to go to chemo for 8 to 10 hours, and oh, I would stress out the night before. But what I did was, and I told myself, I'm not going to be able to sit up in there for no to 8 hours in that depressing place. He said, well, then make it not depressing. And so what we did was we would stay up all night baking cookies, dozens and dozens of cookies, and I'd roll up in the chemo with a bag, champagne, well, was apple cider, and because the nurses would go hollering, "Robin's drinking mimosas again." But music and joy. And I would go around to the people I didn't know and I'd be, hey, how are you? You want a cookie? You know, and it took my mind off of the journey that I had to take in there for 8 hours. So look outside of yourself. You will find there's other people that need your joy. And I always say, I end on this, sometimes you need a blessing, sometimes you are the blessing.
Come on, sis. Come on. Wow.
Can I jump in here?
Yep. Come on in. It's like double dutch. Get in the row.
Right. In the row.
Young people don't even know what double dutch is anymore.
I know, right?
One of the phrases that I coined that really helped me get through some tough times is every day is a good day. Some are just better than others. And I know that when I would go for my treatment, I knew that there was somebody there who was in worse shape than I was. So I'd go wear something loud like this, something that would make them feel like they were on a tropical island or something, just to bring cheer and joy into other people's lives. I think Robin is spot on, not only with the laughter therapy, but with the journaling, just to get it out of our heads and onto paper. And I have a gratitude journal. So before I go to bed every night, I write down about 3 things for which I'm grateful. And then when I was working, I had a folder in my office and I would write the something good journal. So if I had a parent who would compliment me on a way I handled a situation, I'd write it down so that when that moment came, and I knew it was coming, where I had a parent that wasn't happy with something I had done, I could pull out that folder and remember, okay, like she said, I've got 20 things here against her 1 compliment. I'm okay. I'm going to keep moving. I'm hopeful that the people who are viewing this understand exactly what stress is. So it's our body's response to something that's happening. Your body responds to stress. Number one, we are biologically wired to respond to stress. So it exists as a survival mechanism. So if you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, the fact that those stress hormones kick in, that's great. So stress gets a bad reputation, but there is good stress. It's called eustress. So those are the butterflies before you give a presentation, but when that presentation ends, the butterflies go about their business. It's that chronic stress that's problematic, that where it doesn't shut off when it needs to shut off. So now you're feeling overworked, overwhelmed, and yes, stressed out. And that can lead to the chronic health conditions that we've talked about, the high blood pressure, the diabetes, the depression, the anxiety, and yes, the cancer. The interesting thing about your body is that your body doesn't know the difference between an actual threat. So let's say there's an oncoming car. You need to move.
Right.
Your body doesn't know the difference between a real threat and a perceived threat, meaning maybe you have a critical boss. Your body doesn't know the difference, so it reacts the same way. It also reacts the same way if you think about something. So I work with my bosom buddies here in Delaware, and sometimes they call me up and they'll say, can you go with me to an appointment? Because just walking through that building,
Right.
the sounds, the sights, the smells take them all the way back to when they were diagnosed 5 years ago. So we need to be mindful about what stress is and what those triggers are for us. And we have to have those stress mechanisms in place, and that for some people leads to stress eating. So you need to be aware of how stress impacts you and how you react to it. Are you one of those people that fly off the handle? Are you one of those people that reaches out for food or drink or different things like that? So you need to know how it shows up in your life so that you're ready, so that you're being proactive about it and not reactive. If you know that you're a stress eater, a lot of times it's not even about food. It's about the crunch. Okay, well, instead of crunching on potato chips, let me have those apple slices or the celery sticks or the carrot sticks. I need to have them in my refrigerator, because when that happens, I've got it there. Because when you open the door and you don't have those carrot sticks, you are not going to get your keys to go to the supermarket for a 99-cent bag of carrots. Then you're not going to do it. You're going to say, I'm going to go ahead and finish off these cookies or the chips, and I'll just work out a little extra tomorrow at the gym. That's what you say. 9 times out of 10, that's not what you're going to do. So we need to be mindful of how it shows up in our lives. And I too, Amanda, I love acronyms. I'm the acronym queen. So just to give the viewers just some quick ways that they can handle stress. S, sugar. We need to be mindful of our sugar intake. and what sugar does in the body. So S is for sugar, T is for thirst. Our bodies are craving water, and a lot of times we're reaching for food and misinterpreting that hunger cue when it's really a thirst cue. And those, when we think about sugar, we don't often think about sugar sweetened beverages. So T is to mind your thirst. R is for relaxation techniques, and we've shared some of those today. E is for exercise. We talk about exercise, but the new word is really movement, because we don't want people to think, oh my goodness, now I got to pay for a gym membership. Oh, I've got to buy all this expensive equipment and pricey clothing. No, you just need to move and do something that you enjoy, so that that will increase the chances that you'll stick with it later. S is about your sleep. We often think that sleep is just for little people and babies, but sleep is so important to adults for many, many reasons. And we need to create sleep routines for ourselves. And my last S is for start today. You've got to do something today that your future will thank you for tomorrow. Time is the one thing that we can't control. You know, time really does fly, but the good news is that you're the pilot. So we've got to make good decisions from one day to the next. And if you find yourself falling off the wagon, that's okay. It happens. Just don't let the wagon back over you a couple times. You just got to get back up and just make better choices, better decisions, one opportunity at a time. And so that's what I do, is I inspire change one step at a time.
Wow. I love this. And people in the comments are actually writing this down. They're putting down these acronyms, and we're going to make sure that they go up on the Touch Facebook website as well. And we want to hear from people about some of your attempts at de-stressing, some of your failures, some of your funny stories. We want to get all of the lessons, because it is very much a lifelong process. No matter where you are, at every level you get to, there are new stressors and there are new events. And, you know, it's like you graduate to the next thing. It's like a video game almost, you know, and you got to figure out the challenges at this new level, because guess what? You've graduated. You've graduated from breast cancer, from your surgery, and now you're on to your chemotherapy. And now you're on to your life coaching. And now you're on to some different lessons and stress of surveillance. And now it's something new. Every level, there's always something. And we need to make sure that we find the things that work for us and discard the things that don't, because what worked for you at 22 might not work at 52.
It's all about lifestyle changes.
I love it. Sustainable lifestyle changes.
I hate that we have to go. I hate that we have to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sage, I just want to give a
back.
shout out to Burning Sage.
Okay. Y'all have to come back, okay? We
Burn
need
it
to,
if you need it.
we-
That's right.
All right.
we're gonna schedule a dose of this like every quarter, okay? We need a dose.
So really quickly before we go, how can folks reach you on social media? How can they join your groups? How can they support you? Reach out for your services. 2 minutes each.
I'll jump in real quick. So everybody, you can go to anandaleek.com, ANANDALEEKE. Sign up for this new Thriving Mindfully community. You'll see the pop-up. You can click on at the top of the menu. There's community, and learn more about it. It's an opportunity for us to come together, to gather, to share, to learn how to practice mindful self-care, to outsmart stress, to become resilient, and to thrive mindfully. So follow me on social media at Ananda Leek.
Awesome. Nicole?
I'll jump in. So I have a couple of things. I'll give you my website. It's inspiredbynicole.com. And let me spell it. It's inspired, starts with the letter N. NSPIRED by BY Nicole, NICOLLE.com. My website is in the process of being upgraded, but there's a form there that you can just reach out to me and know that I will get back to you. I do have a complimentary mini course called the Stress Survival Kit. And stress is an acronym for, what is it? Oh my goodness, here we go. Strategies to reduce the effects of stressful situations. So you're welcome to that mini course. And I think you'll enjoy it, and just how it will help you with stress in a variety of areas I do have a private Facebook group called Superwoman University. So you're welcome to join in and know that we are in this together. And I also have complimentary self-care clarity calls. So if you just need somebody to talk to, maybe I can help you with a goal that you have and help you break down some steps so that you can reach your goal. So again, inspiredbynicole.com, and my survivor sisters, my bosom buddies, Ricky and Rob, I'm so glad to be with you today. My new friends, Ananda and Dr. Mo, it truly is an honor to be here and to share information to help people make some changes.
Great. I'm putting all this in the chat.
Robin, how can folks
I
reach
don't
you?
have a specific service. I just use the services of Ananda, Nicole, Dr. Mo, and Ricky. But I do public speaking and I do consultation. So if you need to reach out to me, my email is cherry@comcast.net. That's Cherry, just CHERRY@comcast.net. And yes, I am the original Cherry.
I love it.
Get you back and talk about research, because you're also very integral in the ECOG Akron cooperative groups here in the Northeast as well, and nationally as a research advocate for us. So we will definitely have you back, Robin.
Yeah, I got stuff to talk to you about, girl, about research. So we gotta go, Mo. I love you guys. Thank you
Love
so
you.
much.
Thank
Love
y'all.
you.
And
Thank
guys are
you.
so
Be
awesome.
look
well.
forward to
So
connecting.
awesome.
We
All
hope this has
right.
been relatable and reliable and real. Is what we set out to do every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. The doctor is in. See you guys next Wednesday night.
Resty love.
Rusty
Bye.
love.
Love. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much. So
All
much.
right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.